quiet, we'll do this meditation. Relax, release, and let go. Focusing on the breath. We relax the body. Just allowing any tension to flow out and away. We ease our minds by releasing any worries or concerns. We set the spirit free by letting go of any grievances. Say to yourself, I'm alive. I'm alive with the life of God. I'm alive with the life of God. That life which we are experiencing is a part of universal life. You can feel it moving in and through you. And if you should experience fear or lack or upset of any kind, it is because you have put your attention on the illusion. The life of love is happening in you right now. This life is the very energy of creation. So anytime that there is an upset, simply turn your thoughts to that ever-present life of God. The life that is the source of all happiness and joy. The source of absolute supply, of true prosperity, true abundance. Everything we need. If it seems as if you need healing right now, trust that life of God in you to fill your body with healing light. If you need help with a financial situation. Let this life fill your mind with divine ideas, which will guide you to an overcoming. Life is the very energy of you. The way you extend that energy determines your life experience. So whatever your want or need of the moment, understand that life is not a constant state of striving, but rather it is the actual medium in which you give and receive. This is the original blessing, to be alive. To be alive with the life of God. We say amen and amen. So the 10th thing I told myself this morning was, I'm alive with the life of God. I stay in this day, live in the moment, and focus on right now. Stay in this day. Live in the moment and focus on right now. So staying in this day is to make a decision to allow the day itself just to unfold and become whatever it will. You just kind of relax. So there's this drive that we have, that we're actually supposed to have to survive and get ahead, so to speak, in the culture that we have. And this morning, I'm not going to contradict the idea that we should be striving for prosperity, success, or whatever. I'm just going to suggest that we get things out of order sometimes, and that this picture in our mind that we're always kind of short of what we want. It's some people would say that it's actually the requirement for progress is for people to be hungry for the next thing. But that kind of progress, I'm going to maintain that kind of progress, unlimited economic growth, that's actually just another word for metastasize. That this pushing forward, this unlimited growth in a material way, is actually eating the planet alive, and we're not even realizing it's not even necessary. To have a life like this is continual striving. It means to actually have to be unsatisfied, not content, and I mean there's a whole group of folks. There's a whole school of thought that's what we should strive for, is to never be satisfied, to always be going, for the next thing. And I actually do think that we do want unlimited growth, but not physical growth, not material growth. Yes, we want to be comfortable. We want to be have our needs met, but that the unlimited growth that I want to be looking for is that growth of spirit, that the growth of the growth into who we really are. And I don't think who we are is some money grubbing or just the idea of always having to be grasping and holding onto things. So to make a decision to allow the day to unfold and just become what it will. It doesn't mean that I don't have some. First, I do believe we have roles to play in life, and we should have goals, and we talk about this in January of every year, well, the end of December, January, we talk about having the roles we play in life and the goals that we have for them, but they cannot be the most important thing. So I'm going to have this, the one goal is the return to oneness. Yesterday, there was the lesson, the Course in Miracles lesson led me to say that to strive to anticipate oneness, and this is really the anticipation. What the Course lesson was talking about is this anticipation of heaven, and the anticipation of heaven, not heaven when you die, but heaven meaning that kingdom of oneness, of harmony, of togetherness, that place where we remember and return to that total union with God. So this is an anticipation to really try to cultivate, is that anticipation that this is where I'm going. I'm moving down this path to go from this place of lack, this place of fear, into this place where nothing can be lacking because everything is whole, everything is one. And so to stay in the day is to kind of allow opportunities that occur to just unfold. In the meditation that we were just doing, I realized that sometimes in my writing I get carried away, and there's an error in here that I want to see if we can't change it online. But I said that I understand that life is not a constant state of striving, but rather the medium in which we give and receive. And then I say in that order. But that's really not what happens. It doesn't happen. That's always, I think, kind of what we've been taught in the spiritual community is first give, then you receive. It's greater to give than to receive. But the fact of the matter is that we really can't give anything unless we already have received it. Because how can we give that which we don't have yet? So anything that we give actually has to have been received first. So the idea behind that saying of it is more blessed to give than to receive is that there is more blessing in the tendency to give. There's more, and it really means to give or to get, right? If our focus is on getting, that's to our own detriment. If our focus is on giving, then it all flows. But it really is it is more than reciprocal. It is spontaneous, and it's totally linked to each other. So that the giving is actually the receiving that we get from the giving is instantaneous. It comes at the exact same time. It's not something that we actually have to wait for. Now there may be other good consequences that come later from giving, but they certainly should not be our motivation for the giving. So the idea of just allowing the day to be whatever it will be. I'm not going to fight with the day. I'm just going to kind of go with it and see what happens. That doesn't mean I'm not going to make decisions about doing different things. That is another concern also, though, is that in the past, when I'm worried about lack, when I'm worried about getting whatever it is that I can get my hands on, then what ends up happening is that it's like almost like a bull in the china shop kind of a thing. I'm not working with life. I'm not flowing with life. I'm just out there fighting and just trying to make things happen. Whereas if I would just stop for a moment and be quiet, I will get some guidance as to what to do. Sometimes, I lose my way. I begin wishing for some future reality in which I have no concerns about money or material things. You get into this fantasy realm of, oh, if only it was like this, if only I had this much of whatever. You can name your particular thing that you would like to stack up. Then, that if I get to that point sometime in the future, then everything will be cool. We remember that really our daily, and this not meaning to sound like you fell into a fundamentalist church, but our daily walk with God, is the path upon which all prosperity unfolds. And all I mean by that is to be aware of the fact that you're not alone. You're not in this some fight for your life alone. That there is this presence of God that goes with us wherever we go. And that when we focus on that's the thing that allows us then to stay centered in this moment right now, and not have our mind casting about for ways that we can take advantage and get over. So we are in this particular meditation, I write it from the perspective of prosperity. And what I mean by prosperity is an abundance of all good things. So prosperity, it could actually, depending on your present state of mind, prosperity could look different than what it would look like to me, but an abundance of all good things. And so to be prosperous would mean, yes, you're not struggling financially. You're not just in the middle of this huge financial struggle. To be prosperous, though, also would mean that you'd have an abundance of good relationships. That to be prosperous would mean that you have an abundance of opportunities to enjoy life. So we say all good things. And I had Marley, did you post that answer to that question that we got last week?
The last one I sent you, or the first one?
That one that the guy had a lot of questions. We should do this every week. We should have a little thing, but it has to do with this. That all good things mean at its core it means all God things. Thinking that the word good comes from God. So all things that bind together, all things that are attached to love. I'll get the question in a minute.
You want me to get it?
I think I've got it here. So I'm having this walk with God. God is walking with me, and now this is all symbols. This is not. I'm not trying to say this literally, although I think that I do actually think that literally God is with me wherever I go. But when I visualize this, I'm thinking about myself walking down a path. Well, right now I'm not walking down a path. I'm sitting in a chair. But I visualize myself walking down this path. And this is the path, when I remember that I'm never alone, this is the path upon which all of these opportunities unfold. So I am prosperous, I am abundant as I practice the presence of God. I am prosperous because I am energized by the Holy Spirit, because I am guided by divine wisdom, because I am loving and loved. all of those things are like here for me right now, today. I do not have to wait for some pending event. I don't have to wait for the stars to align. I don't have to wait for somebody, to do a certain thing. I can just know that all those conditions, whatever it seemed like when I woke up or at any time during the day, that all those conditions are always present every day wherever I am. Now, right now, practically speaking, those conditions are not in the past. Those past conditions have passed. Those conditions are not in the future. I should be thinking about them as being in the future, although they will be when the future is now. Those conditions will exist. Thinking about future conditions is really just thinking about a fantasy, something that has actually not occurred yet. So to think about it this way, all of this possibility, you can think about it as raw materials, exist right now for us every day, which means you could just say this yourself, I'm rich today. I am rich today because this is why. Well, first, we're rich because this ultimate reality is that we have everything because we are everything. And the we is important when we think about that, the coming together. But to be rich today, to have everything I need, because it's already given. Everything that I have need of is given. And if I'm quiet and realize it and stay centered in the day, then I realize it, and so that I can then use those things that are present. If I'm afraid, if I'm upset, I miss it because they somehow I gloss over it, I paint over it, I don't notice the opportunity when it occurs. So the idea of when Jesus said this, that he was like saying something a little bit different, but the same idea. The day is sufficient unto itself. He actually said, "Let this day's troubles be sufficient unto themselves." Right? But so then we like drill down into this a little bit and think about being in the moment. To think about being in the moment. To stay right now, because that actual moment that. Now that one was gone and now we're at a new one. That's reality. The moment is reality. Right, this moment, the present moment is the nexus of creation. It's where everything comes from. And so we miss it so many times. And so what the Course says we're doing is we're not creating, we're miscreating. Because we're always like if you ever see me dance, which I hope you don't, I'm on the offbeat all the time. No matter what, I can't somehow. Now I enjoy it. I love the music. I really feel it moving in me. But when I try to translate that into dancing, I'm like never on the right beat. I'm off. I'm just off. And now somebody told me if you can be off like just right, that can be like really hip. And I'm going to go with that. But I'm not quite on the beat, and this is how we miscreate. We're not quite on the beat. We're either a second behind or we're a second ahead. And what we want to do is be in the middle there. We want to be right where it's happening. So right now, if we think about the present moment as being the holy instant. When we're in it, it's like the holy instant. Because holy, thinking about the roots of the words and everything, holy meaning that we come to wholeness. That we return to God. So in the holy instant, that means that would mean that we actually are present in the moment and aware also that we are never alone, that we are not alone. That was the just for today that I sent out today was just for today, don't make a decision for yourself alone. Because you're not.
Don't make a decision for yourself. Don't make a decision. How about that? Don't make a decision for or by yourself alone, because you're not. This is really the state of actually waking up to what's really going on, is when we stop making decisions for ourselves alone. Because every time we do that, it's always based on some kind of fear, even if we're not quite aware of it. Because every decision we make, it does involve everyone else. And the other thing is, everyone else is actually in on, at some level, everybody else is in on it anyway. So, okay, so in this holy instant, right now, in that present moment, flowers are blossoming right now. And I'm not talking about, yes, there are actually some flowers somewhere blossoming too, but I'm again, this symbolic language that the rose is opening in this moment, right now. That life and love are extending. They're extending outward. And that new life, this is, to visualize it, is to just think about being in a garden. And that new life is occurring around you. That new life is occurring in you, continuing in you. And to keep ourselves in the moment, then, we really notice all the wonders of this. We notice life unfolding as it does. And being in the moment keeps us ready for the miracle. And the miracle is seeing, so I'm in a moment, and it seems like in this moment something's gone wrong. If I stay focused on the moment and not let myself start thinking about consequences and bad things that are about to happen, what will occur is I will have an opportunity for a miracle, which means I will be able to see it differently and actually change the entire context of what could have been a total disaster and turn it into, what's always present, opportunity for good. The opportunity for good, always present. So if I keep myself in the moment, I will notice many wonders. I stay ready for a miracle. Heart and mind open to divine presence. And then as we're open like that, we see it. We actually see it. Staying in the moment, we see that divine presence being expressed all around us. We feel it extending. First, like it extends to us, and then we allow it to extend through us. It actually extends through us as us. This is one of the things that we were talking about last week, was this elusive idea of what it is that we're supposed to do in the world, and what is God doing in the world, and what is this? And what we discussed last week was God is not actually doing anything in the world. We are doing things in the world. God is doing things in us. So we go all the way back to Meister Eckhart in the Middle Ages, was giving these sermons and telling people, saying, you are the Word of God. That you are a thought in the mind of God. And that the Bible was not a book about God, but a book about you. That this idea is that in the world we are, so just think about it in a real simple way. We are become the hands and feet of God in the world. Because otherwise, to think otherwise just leads us down that road to believing that God must be crazy, or angry, or anyway. So to be in the moment is to feel that presence of God within us, so that we can then move into the world expressing that presence. In the moment, to feel infinitely blessed, to be connected to creation, and then to focus on that. Stay in the day, live in the moment, focus on right now. To focus on what's important right now. This is always going to be the same thing. The circumstances are going to change. But this focus on what's important is always going to be the same thing, and it really goes all the way back to the first commandment that says, "Have one God, have no other gods before me." That the one thing that we focus on, we put God first. And what we talk about in here when we say put God first is God is the unity of all life. So God is all life. So then, okay, so now I'm getting an idea here. What I can do in this present moment is I'm just going to focus on life. I'm going to focus on what's important to do right now. How do I interact with life? To realize that any person that stands in front of me, that's part of life. Part of God. My brother, my sister. Any person that stands in front of me. That and what the Course says is they have a gift for me. And I have a gift for them. If I'm focused, if I'm here right now, a gift is about to be exchanged between us. Any situation that is unfolding is just another opportunity for God's will. So many times in the past, we've been confused by this idea of God's will. They'll tell you when you go to a funeral that your friend in the casket, that's God's will. That is not God's will. That is just cause and effect. It is. Okay, so it's God's will in a way. This happened and then the body died. This happened and the body died. Cause and effect. But it's not God's will that the essence of that person be dead, because God's will is for eternal life. So God's will is this present in the moment, focused on this now, present in the moment. God's will is always offering an opportunity for good. And this is like so comforting when we really begin to understand this, because no matter how many mistakes we make, I could go through the day making mistake after mistake after mistake and thinking, man, I'm really digging myself a deep ditch here. And then realize that there's an opportunity right now for good. From this position, right now. Probably I'm going to need to take some responsibility for all of those shovelfuls of dirt that I dug, down the line. That's just part of, cleaning it up. But that I will understand that when I make a decision to stop digging, that there's an opportunity for good to come out of it. Now, yes, with each shovelful, I may put myself into a place where it's going to take a little bit longer to get out of it. But still, the opportunity for good is always present, no matter what happens. And so this is why if we get the sequence right in our minds, we will never be burdened by this idea of how could it be God's will that my friend died, that my family member died. How could that, how does that jive? Because it's not the past event that's God's will. It's the present that in which we operate right now, where God's will is going on. That's when good is happening, is in the present. So I have to, whatever has just occurred, I have to get myself focused on the good that is in the moment right now. So that any situation that is unfolding is another opportunity to experience goodwill. Focused on right now, then it's easier to hear the voice of Spirit. As time stretches forward, we keep our mind continually focused on this place right now, where we keep our mind stayed on what is at hand, what's at hand right now, to give our attention to our place in the universe at this moment and our part in what's supposed to happen. And it's always going to be, our part is always, this is the other good thing, is our part is always going to be something to do with extending love. It's not, it is very seldom is it going to be, our part going to be that we tell somebody about love. It's going to be that we do it. That we actually, our part is going to be to extend it, not to give some platitude, not to, be nice. I think it's good to go out and be nice, to be polite, to talk to people in a certain way. But sometimes, sometimes the words, we just think this is how we're supposed to sound, and it's not even real. What's real is if we just give the love, then the love, go back to what we're talking about here, the love is feeling connected and desiring only good to come to that person, even though they just said something nasty to you, even though they seem to be annoying, even though they're an obstacle in your path to whatever place you think you want to go right now, to extend love to them right then. That's going to always be the thing to do in the moment, is to somehow, whatever my body is actually doing, my mind needs to be extending love. That's what keeps me in the holy instant. So, to give our attention to our place, to not try to live apart from the rest of life, to realize, to be focused on this idea that I am part of we can call it, we can say that the universe or the world is like, it can be a symbol. It can be a symbol for this place of conflict where we're at odds with everything, or it can be a symbol for a place of harmony, meaning a symbol for the kingdom of heaven. So if I focus on it as I am part of a system, I'm really part of an environment created by God. I'm part of a living system, which really is God. I lovingly and thoughtfully want to contribute to that system, whatever my role may be today, to give all that is ours to give. The Course in Miracles lesson says, to have all, give all, to all. Man, that seems like you're not going to have anything. To have all, give all, to all. Wait a minute. My pockets are now empty. Well, when it says all, it's talking about us. That's what it's saying. It's talking about since we, to have all, we have to give all of ourselves to all of life. And then when you think about that for a second, you go, man, I'm going to be tired after doing all of that. But that's not what happens, because doing that, that's really what we're designed to do. We never burn out. Just keep going like that forever. It's only when we think that the things we're doing are a burden and a chore and toil that we get tired. So don't take on any tasks that you can't do with love, because otherwise you're going to get tired. To center ourselves in the role, to give that which is ours to give, to know that in our giving we are appreciated. And this is something to be very careful of, because if we give to someone, to some person, because we want them to appreciate us, they may. But that will be our whole reward. But to give with the anticipation that life is going to appreciate us, that the whole of life is going to appreciate us, and the whole of life is going to reciprocate. The law of reciprocation, it's just part of cause and effect. It's going to happen. To be mindful that as the day unfolds, to stay mindful, to pay attention to what's going on, to pay attention to our actions, to feel our feelings, to notice our thoughts, to be aware of our beliefs, to appreciate the beauty that is happening all around us. And it's very interesting, when I put my attention on it and look, there's much beauty. I like this idea of the Thich Nhat Hanh had the walking meditation, where as you walk, you stand upright and you feel yourself being drawn by your center. You're being drawn across the ground. You feel your feet on the ground. You sense yourself moving through the air. You participate fully in your breathing. You're aware of everything that happens as you're just walking. That's all you're going to do. You're not nothing else. Just walk and notice what's happening. And you just, after a little while, you start to feel, because as long as you keep yourself upright and allow yourself to be pulled by your center, you just feel like you're just gliding. It's just amazing. To start walking around like that, just normally, to sense the ground under our feet, to revel our movement through the air. And just think, again, the body's just a symbol. You're going to cast it off sooner or later, sooner than you think. But to be thinking about it, to be considering it as being a finely tuned machine, that totally changes the idea of thinking, oh, I got a pain here and I got a pain here, and just to start regarding it as working correctly. It'll start working more correctly. There's something else going on besides that we can't quite figure out, that interferes sometimes. But this focus, this vision of the body being this finely tuned machine, and for us to then to revel in its actions, to be grateful. I think about it as my body's ability and agility. You've got to take that with just a little bit of, just a pinch of salt there, but to feel a reserve of strength that is always available when it's needed. If this goes on in the mind, even a body that has been racked by sickness for some period of time will respond. To think about our minds as being instruments that are precise, sometimes it doesn't seem that way. Sometimes it seems like I get confused and it seems like I'm not very clear thinking. But if I hold the picture that my mind is indeed this marvelous instrument, and that it is precise in the way that it works, that it is adaptable and responsive, and that it can actually adapt instantly to changing circumstances. It does. It does. But most important of all of this of being mindful is to stay in touch with Spirit, to stay open and receptive to that divine guidance. Knowing that we're always being led, the Spirit, we're always being led. If we're paying attention, we're always being led. We're just may not be paying attention to the right leader. Like we're being led by the ego, or we're being led by Spirit. We're always being led. So, and so then here comes the piece about correction. So we correct when we get off track. We make corrections as we go. And I really, this idea was so alien to me until I finally got it, what they were talking about, to make corrections where necessary, to stop being afraid to admit when we're wrong. Man, this is I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. I want you to be wrong. That's why the answer to the question, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy, is for most of my life, I would rather be right and miserable. I want to find out, I'm looking for ways that I am being unfairly treated. I'm looking for ways where people are taking advantage of me or might take advantage of me. I want to be able to stop this. I want to be able to admit when I'm wrong. I want to be able to say, I made a mistake. This is like so simple. It's like so simple. I don't know why it took me, I don't know how many, 40 years to learn. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I was wrong. It's like just like you can't just say I'm sorry. Say I was wrong. And then to stop and correct the error. When this happens, I was wrong. Now I want to know, fix it. I want to heal it. I want to do whatever is necessary. And what happens when I'm able to do that is I don't get bound up in the past. Because if I don't admit that I'm wrong and I know that I just made a mistake, the mistake just hangs there. I carry it into the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. It's just a haunting thing. When I can admit to it, I admit that I'm wrong, fix it as to the best of my ability, right then, I'm free. Stop and correct the error. No longer be bound by the past. Forgive myself, the situation, clean the slate. Wipe it out. Then I open a new opportunity for growth and for further unfoldment. When I choose to exercise my spiritual power and my potential, this power enables me to become better, wiser, healthier, more prosperous, or if you're really now gone past the material world, I'll just say, instead of being more prosperous, say more peaceful. to experience growth through the use of correction, to choose not to hide our mistakes any longer. Just put it out there. You don't have to tell everybody. Just tell whoever was affected, or if no one really was affected but you, tell a confidant. Just tell Spirit. Just admit it. Just as long as we admit to it. What will happen is we will get understanding. We will get understanding that we gain from the experience. We will be able to let go of guilt and regret. We will be able to release ourselves, not just ourselves. We'll be able to release others from all these limitations of error to begin anew. This is always this new beginning. As soon as I can admit that I was wrong, now I have a new beginning. So I can admit there was a mistake. I'm not even talking about taking blame. I'm just talking about taking some responsibility. And then that leads us to this ultimate idea of living the life of God, living in the moment, is to realize that we're eternal. That life is eternal. And that our greatest abundance, our greatest resource lies in the fact that we are part of eternal life. Because sometimes we worry that as time goes on, we lose our ability to live life fully. We believe that our faculties will diminish and we'll slow down. And yeah, I know, somewhere along the line the body starts doing this stuff to us. We can change our look. It is going to happen. I'm not trying to say here that if you do all these things that your body's going to stop aging. What I am saying though is that the body aging will have a lot less effect. And that we can change our mind. We can realize that actually on the inside. And let me make another point about this. I'm not talking about it's easy when we go like this. I'm saying on the inside, it's just like, it's a symbol, because actually my mind is not in my body. My body is in my mind. This is really a change of perspective. But inside my mind, I can determine a lot of different things. I can realize that I am in the image and likeness of God, or I can believe that I'm in the image of a doddering old fool, or somewhere in between all of those things. But this is what's happening in my mind. So, but remembering that I'm in the image and likeness of God, that means that I am filled with the life of God. I am part of that life that never ends. My essence exists in eternity. Unchanging, unchangeable. It cannot be divided into past, present, and future. It is the eternal now. And if the more I focus on being in the eternal now, I will remain youthful in mind and body. Although we do know that eventually we're going to cast the thing off. I was playing racquetball with somebody yesterday, and he doesn't have this watch, but he has a Fitbit. He's always looking at his heartbeat, and he says, "What's your heartbeat right now? What's your heartbeat?" And I said, "Well, I got to ask it." He says, "It doesn't just show you that." And I said, "No, I can ask it if I want it. I can ask it, but the problem is I got this racquetball glove on to play racquetball, and it won't actually." He says, "What's your heart rate when you're not at rest, or when you are at rest?" And I said, "What's about 50?" 50? So you're one of those guys who's going to live forever. I said, "Yeah, I'm one of those guys that's going to live forever. And not in the body."
Oh.
But this is what has happened to me. The reason my heart rate is 50 is because I practice. Not just the body. I practice in the mind. I know how to get calm. I'm so used to calming myself. My heart rate didn't used to be 50 even when I was young. It's gone down. The more I practice, the lower my resting heart rate becomes. I can get it down to 42 through conscious effort. I've done it. Did I ever tell you the story about that? I got a biopsy because I had hepatitis C. So I got a biopsy, liver biopsy, and then they make you lay down afterwards for hours. You're not supposed to move because they're afraid that there's so much chance of bleeding after they take the biopsy that you could hurt yourself. And they keep monitoring you and they put you on the machine. And so the machine is right there and it's showing me my heart rate. This was years ago. And I kept reducing it down. The nurse comes in and she sees my heart rate is 42. She calls the doctor. She says, something's wrong in here. And I said, no. I said, it's just me. I'm doing that. She said, well, stop doing that. So we have the ability to change how our body acts. Now I think, somewhere in there, we may even have the ability. Charles Fillmore used to think that if you got good enough at this stuff that you could regenerate your body. And maybe that's possible. But the problem is that's not the point. The point is that life is eternal. The point is not that the body is eternal. The point is that life is eternal. And this thing about living life and being in the moment all the time, the body will start acting better when we do that. When we're full of worry, when we're focused on everything that's wrong, the body is in distress. When we can turn it around and put our focus back on what's going on right now, the body relaxes, the mind is free. But to always realize the body is just temporary. This is the cool thing. It's actually cool. It's not bad that the body's going to die. It's just a temporary receptacle for you. And it isn't even that, because it's in your mind. So, to realize that our life, this life that's in us, is overflowing with abundance. If we remain first and foremost focused on being spirit, which is the one constant thing that we will realize, and it will just become such a part of us that we realize that we are part of eternal life. And that identity is rich. That identity is the ultimate prosperity, the ultimate abundance. Rich. Rich indeed. That's enough. It's probably too much.